Present my screen.
All right.
And I am recording.
You are.
Okay. Can you all see that?
We can. Thank you.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, first of all, thank you everybody for being here. This is being recorded, so it'll be posted on our team website later tonight. So if you have a friend who wasn't able to attend, all this information will be available online on our team website tonight. So thank you for coming. I'm Sarah Coulter, language arts teacher. Mr. High is our science teacher. Ms. Falk is our math teacher, and Mrs. Swanson is our teen social studies teacher. This slide was created by our Track 1 counselor, Penny Benson. She is the counselor for students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade on Track 1. It's really great that they have that connection with her for all 3 grades. And she's also the 504 case manager. So if your child has a 504, you will likely have a meeting with her at some point this year. And there's more information here. Her email is on this slide, and students can make appointments through email, or they can go to student services if they want to talk to our counselor. She likes to pull kids for meetings at times other than core classes, so they don't miss that instruction. So if students reach out to Ms. Benson, she'll get back to them regarding the best time to meet. But she's wonderful, and we encourage students to get to know Ms. Benson. She's a great resource. Ms. Falk?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about social studies. Just want to let you know that Miss Swanson is out of the building for a while. She is dealing with a family medical issue, and so she is not going to be here, most likely for most of the quarter. So we have a wonderful sub, Miss Jansen, who has been in, and she has been working with us and our wonderful students. And so if you have any questions about social studies, or you can direct them to the team, Mr. High, myself, and Ms. Coulter. Mr. McCullough can also help us with those too. We just wanted to kind of show you a little bit of what she does, and her class will continue to do. Right now, they're talking about geography, and they just did a Grapes D assignment. So I posted a grade in their PowerSchool account for that. They'll do religion, and then you can kind of see where quarter 2, 3, and 4 will lead them. And so, if you have questions about what they're doing in class, you can definitely reach out. But most of their work for social studies right now is going to be done in class. Some of it may be done at home. They've got a map of their room, I know, due tomorrow. And they also have a Tall Dogs quiz tomorrow that they're going to be taking. So we're trying to, just help keep that flowing as smooth as possible. So just let us know if you need anything for that class. And then I'm going to talk about math, since that's my gig. So welcome to 6th grade math. I teach 2 different classes. I teach Math 6, and I also teach Math 6 Plus. So with the Math 6 class, you will see we do about 2 units a quarter, and my Math 6 classes are my 2nd core and my 4th core classes, just so if you ask your kid, hey, what math class are you in? And these are the topics we're going to cover. We are right now in area and surface area, and we will continue to do classwork. You will see homework most nights. I do try to let the kids have a few minutes every day to get started on their homework. And I don't give a lot of homework. I give homework that practices the skills we've been doing in class. We are using Google Classroom right now for math. So as a parent, if you ever want to see what the notes look like that I'm giving in class, I post them on Google Classroom. This is another great resource, not only for parents, but for kids who may be absent, miss a day. If you get sick and you have to be out a couple of days, and as you start to feel better, you can go in and look at some things and look at the notes. I mean, obviously it's not going to be the same as hearing it, but then, maybe you can go through it and check it out, and then come back and ask questions when you return, or even email me. I've had kids already do that with questions from the notes. So, and I also post the math packets that they're doing. They've got workbooks. We have sent home the first workbook for the first unit on area and surface area. That's for extra practice. Parents, you can look through those just so if you're like, hey, I want you to show me this, find a problem. They can show you an extra math problem there. I told the kids they could sleep with them under their pillows if they wanted to. Nobody was going to take me up on that. So we've got tests that are going to count for 35%, quizzes are 30%, classwork is 25%, and homework is 10%. So basically, when the kids have homework, as long as they've attempted it and they've done it and they follow the directions and they've tried, they're always going to get credit for doing their homework. I also like to go over the homework and check it for accuracy. So then they can see and I can see how well we're really picking up on that skill. And if I need to spiral back and go back for anything, whether that's through Spartan time, in class, etc. So I'm going to let Ms. Coulter go. The next slide, the Math 6 Plus class. Or my first and third core classes. And this covers all of 6th grade math and half of 7th grade math. So this class moves really, really quick. You'll notice that we have more units in this class, and very similar, but you'll see where there are some 7th grade units thrown into the curriculum. And so it's just kind of bridges there. And so you can we do 3 units a quarter versus 2 units a quarter. So the weights on the grading is exactly the same. The expectation in the Math 6 Plus class is there is practice every time, every day, always. But the repetition is less because the expectation is you should be able to pick it up with less repetitions. And the pace does move pretty quick. So that was, I think, all I had for math. Oh, and we do have a few students who have Miss Taylor. She teaches Math 7 Plus. And so this is her slide. She does do some homework, and she does have a website that the kids can access for her. So she can, if you have your child in there, you can always reach out to Miss Taylor to talk to her about that class.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm Sarah Coulter, and I have your children for language arts. One of the things we do in language arts is read theory. And in the first semester, the expectation is that students pass 2 read theory quizzes a week at 70 or better. They don't need to be perfect. 70% is considered proficient. Each read theory quiz has maybe 2 or 3 paragraph text. Some of them get longer as kids get into the higher grade levels, but it's a short passage with 4 to 8 questions, and they just need 70% or better to show proficiency. What I like about read theory is it allows students to work at their reading level. It will adjust based on students' performance. So right now there are students who might need to see some 3rd or 4th grade material, while I also have students who might need to see 9th or 10th grade material, and it will adjust based on students' results. To level up a grade level, students need to get 100 on a quiz, and if they score below a 70, it'll bump them down a grade level. And it often takes a while to find kind of that sweet spot where it's a good fit. It might be a little bit challenging, but it shouldn't feel painful. And I do put the reading level that your child finished on for the week in Power School in the comment section. So they get 100 for passing 2 quizzes a week, but then I put a comment that'll indicate, your 5th grade reading level or 7th grade reading level. And that's good for you to check periodically to see. And if you know that your child should be working at or above grade level, but is doing 2nd or 3rd grade level read theory, I would request that you gently or firmly suggest that they, put a little bit more effort into it. And ask about the environment in which they're doing read theory. If they're trying to rush through it in a noisy atmosphere, that might not be a great plan. Students log into read theory using their school Google account, and everybody that I currently teach has set up an account and has access to that. So I also wanted to mention that in quarter 1, we will read excerpts from The Lightning Thief. And we use the Lightning Thief to teach the hero's journey concept, and then students will be writing their own hero's journey story. We are going to pull out 6 or 7 chapters to read to kind of highlight some of the most dramatic moments in the Lightning Thief and to tie it into that hero's journey. In quarter 2, we'll read Good Master, Sweet Ladies, which takes place during the Middle Ages. Each poem is from the perspective of a different child living during the Middle Ages. In quarter 3, we'll read Flush by Carl Hyacin. It's a great realistic fiction book. We will also read 3 novels in verse in quarter 4, Home of the Brave, The Crossover, and Tropical Secrets. And if you were going to, it's totally optional, there's no requirement, but if you were going to purchase one, Flush by Carl Hyacin would be the one, but it's not required. But if your child likes to highlight or annotate or really fold back the pages, Flush would be the one. Everything else I've got plenty of copies of. And looks like you're up, Mr. High.
Well, I'm mute myself. I was about to start singing.
You can sing.
Mr. High, the science guy. I have met some of you guys before, and I may have not met some of you all, but nice to meet you all. I am your science instructor, the science teacher who likes to have fun. So I know your kids are going to tell you the exciting stories and all the fun that we've been having in class, but we're still in the thinking like a scientist part right now. So I'm trying to get your kids to think like a scientist. So we have to get our mindsets right right now as I introduce them to science. But we already had our first lab experiment today. And so if you haven't heard, your kids saved some lives today. We saved some lives today, but everything went well. I'm excited to teach you y'all's kids, and this year we're hoping to have many labs as we can. As you see, I want to have 2 to 3 labs per unit. However, at least two labs we will be able to knock out. But we're gonna have fun this year. There's gonna be some quizzes that come along, and quizzes, however, cannot be retaken, but tests can. So if kids make less than 70, they can retake this test or make test corrections. I do give out extra credit, so there will be opportunities where kids can kind of bring the grade up through those extra credit opportunities. We will be doing a good handful of projects as well. So my room gets pretty messy a lot. So, but that's what I'm here for. So we got our little taste of what a room looks like after a lab experiment today. So still learning that, ending the experiment a little earlier so we can have some cleanup time. But so far, I mean, homework, I don't give out a lot of homework. Like I said before, a lot of the work is classwork. So if kids are coming home at work, they're not being as productive in the classroom. I do give out homework time to time just to get that extra practice in. But we do a lot in the classrooms, and I enforce kids to study. So they get unit overviews, and I do post those on Google Classroom along with all my assignments. The unit overviews, you can find out what they will be learning ahead of time if you go to my web page through the Supernovas page. So you can see what they're supposed to learn to hit those learning targets. We have learning targets we want to hit just to kind of see where they're at, and they can actually ask themselves. So you can kind of go through those overviews to kind of check, hey, are you understanding this? So I see that you're having a hard time. Are you following up with your teacher? Because I want them to take that initiative to ask questions. Come to me. If you're stuck, email me if you don't want to talk to me face to face. I'm not that scary, but I do understand everybody's not going to want to talk to me and want to raise their hand in front of everybody. So, I am kind of teaching them to take that step up. This is your job. Your parents are working, and your job is to work in this classroom.
Mm-hmm.
We know besides that, you all, we're gonna have fun. We're not gonna blow up some things, so you don't have to worry about that. But we're gonna have fun, and I will reach out to you guys and send you some sign up genius so you guys can help me with lab supplies. Cause I do need help time to time with getting some supplies, so we can have a great experience at the sixth grade level. Um, but looking forward to a good, exciting year with you all. Nice to see you guys.
Thank you, Mr. High.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk about Power School a little bit. Students all have a Power School account that is accessible through the Wake ID portal. There's a little icon, look, you can see on this slide on the right. It says home base, and then it says NC Ed Cloud. Students use their student ID or lunch number to log in to home base or NC Ed Cloud Power School. It's got a lot of names, but once they click on the NC Ed Cloud icon or home base, they'll enter their student ID or lunch number, and then they'll click on the P for Power School to access their grades. We've shown them how to access Power School. It's important once your student is in Power School that he or she will click on the average. Let's say it's an 86% in science. They need to click on the 86% average, and then they'll see a list of all assignments and grades on each assignment. I think it's really good for students to get in the habit of checking Power School 2 or 3 times a week, because it's going to be part of their lives from grade 6 through 12. And now is the time as a 6th grader to develop that habit of students taking ownership of their grades and students taking that responsibility of checking regularly. Let's say there's a 0, then that's a sign for the student to reach out to the teacher and say, via email or in person, I noticed I have a 0 on this assignment. Can I still turn it in? And I feel like we will probably say yes and accept the work and bump up the grade. But students really should develop this habit, and I think they're going to need some parent support initially. Reminder, have you checked Power School? What are your grades? Do you have anything missing? And I think the key is getting them to check, monitor regularly, and then take ownership of anything that they might need to submit. And parents typically get access to Power School, their own Power School accounts in mid-August. That's what it's been like in the past. And so if you would like a parent account, there's an email here you could write down. Our data manager is Miss Guess, and her email is on this slide, and she would be the person to contact regarding getting a parent Power School account. But if you're worried, like, those are not available yet to my knowledge, and historically it's more like August.
And I was going to say, so piggybacking on what Ms. Coulter said, we have shown the kids, because they didn't know, so we have shown them this is how you get in. It would be a great idea for you to sit with them and say, show me what you have in Power Schools. Walk me through it. Tell me what this assignment was, because when you click on that number, so there's 2 grades in for math. There's 1 grade in for social studies right now. And there's maybe 3 grades in for ELA. And so as you can say, tell me, what was that assignment? The grapes, the assignment in social studies. What was that area quiz in math? So it's really good to let them show you. Because honestly, then you don't have to worry about a Power School account for yourself. This is really helping them get into that habit.
Yes. The ideal scenario is that your child will take ownership of this and will check it regularly, so you don't have to. But that takes some support initially, and it may take some students longer than others. You know your child best. But grades are just different in middle school, and this is a great time for them to get to understand how all that works before high school, where things are more like high stakes. Wanted to mention that we all use Google Classroom as a platform. This is where students can access maybe a quiz to take via Google Form. There might be notes posted here. There could be videos posted here. This is something that students should check daily, regularly. And when students are absent or unable to attend school for any reason, they should check Google Classroom and email us with any questions that they have. I taught virtual academy, and I had to get organized when I did that. And so now I use something called a must do can do, and I post that every Sunday. Students can check from home or Monday morning when they get to school. But for every day, they can see what are we reading. If there's a PDF linked, if there's a worksheet, it's linked there. They don't have to print it, but they can pull it up and, write down answers in their notebook. But I also will note if there's a quiz or assessment of any kind, but there should never be a mystery for kids. Like, what are we doing? They can just check ELA Google Classroom for that must do, can do. They can email teachers with questions, but it really will help kids keep up with their assignments, their reading, the math skills, if they're keeping up at home. And that might be a difference. And sometimes in elementary school, if you miss, you don't have to make up the work. But in middle school, it is an expectation that students make up the work. And so they will probably need some guidance from you on that as sixth graders, because I think that's a shift. All right, Miss.
Okay, so I would like, so going back to absences, we know that kids are going to miss school, and we are expecting them to make up their missing assignments, especially when you think about the math and how quickly we move. And so a day out can probably put a kid 2 days behind just to try to get caught up. So again, just stating that Power Schools, looking in there, making sure all your assignments are done, Google Classroom, emailing your teacher. We do have a link on our team homepage on our website that shows not only the must do can do for Ms. Coulter, but it is a homework link. It's a one-stop shop, and we're going to show you that in just a few minutes. But they need to, and you can check that at any time. I'm more of a day-by-day gal because it just kind of depends on how we get through everything in class. I know for social studies and ELA, they are more of a weekly planning, which I think is amazing. And I think for Mr. High, it's also kind of day-by-day, trying to figure out what, as we move, sometimes things go quicker, some things go slower, just depending on how fast things are picked up. But if your student is absent, you will need to send in a note, and we have posted a template in our weekly email, and some parents have already used it. It makes me so happy that you can either print that out, or you can just write out your own on a piece of paper using that template. Bring it in. The kids can drop it by student services the morning they come back from their absence. If they're not quite sure where that is, they can always come upstairs and we can send them downstairs with a friend to turn that in. An email, unfortunately, to let us know is great, but we have to have a handwritten note to turn into the data manager, Miss Guess, in the front off or in student services if they're ever absent. But we do appreciate you all letting us know that your child's not going to be there. Whether that's because they woke up with a sore throat and they just weren't feeling good, you're just going to keep them home for the day. And, what can we do? We're going to say, check the link, check Google Classroom and all of those things. If you're going to be out on an extended trip for like an educational trip, let us know ahead of time. We definitely will try to, if we can, get work to send, but anytime that school is missed, we would expect them to make up that work after they have returned and turn that in. So after they come back, we'll, work with them to get all of that made up. And then the next slide, I think we're talking about the agendas. So we do have agendas. All the students should have an agenda. We want them to use these daily to write down their homework. One of the good things about our Spartan time, it is after our core 4 classes. and we can take a moment at the beginning of that Spartan time and say, let's check in your agenda. What do you have for homework? Make sure they've got things written down. It's a really good habit to get into. I like writing it down and checking it off myself because that's just the way I am. But I wanted Ms. Coulter, if she can click on that link, that Supernova's homework link, we wanted to show you so that this is kind of where you're seeing the work. And so you can access this at home anytime. And you can see language arts, and then I've got the Math 6 and Math 6 Plus here. So, we try to do that. You can see what homework was, and say Fred today was saving Fred in science. So you kind of, and you can ask them about that. Again, we are fortunate to have Spartan time. Some days they will have some homework time during Spartan time. Some days they may only get 10 minutes of homework in Spartan time. So, it's not something to depend on all the time, but we definitely would like for them to use their time, but also so what to ask them about when they come home in the afternoons and evenings. So that is there. If next slide is... Sorry. Oh, all right. So in your students' book bag, you should find a green folder. We call it their homework folder, and it has a tracker. And the tracker right now is yellow on the inside. So green and yellow is what you're looking for. We use this to help us with students. So if, let's say they miss a homework assignment, we know it's going to happen. So you'll see on the tracker that the first time is a warning, and even the second time is a warning. But then as those behaviors continue, there might be some other consequences that go with that at school. We do ask you as a parent to, on the back of the tracker, every 3 weeks, we're going to ask you to sign that and just talk to your kid about their grades. This is another great time to check Power Schools with them so they can show you what's been going on. We keep the same tracker for the entire semester. It does have like bathroom breaks on there. It does have a place where if they're coming in late to school, that we do track that. So if a student is consistently late to homeroom, we might reach out. And if it's a bus issue, that's totally not your problem. But we do know that sometimes carpool can get backed up, and that is not also a problem. But if it's consistently 8:20, 8:25, we really would like the kids in the building no later than 8 a.m. It gives them time to get upstairs and go to their lockers, and lockers are new and very exciting. And, but they also get a time to chat with their friends, make sure they've got all their materials for the day. If they have questions, they can talk to us. We're available. That's kind of their time just to get prepared for the day every day. And we'll send you a reminder when, close to the 3 weeks is coming. So, you can sign it, and then I think we check them on a Thursday. So that may be coming up next week, next Thursday.
Next week.
Next Thursday. I can't believe it's already here. Okay. So then, so just check in with your kid. And so we'll probably use talking points to relay that message. We're still working on the parent contact list to get all the parent emails. And so if you have not done that, please also go do that. We have a way that Proud Stamps, and usually this is initiated by Miss Swanson. So we're a little lagging with our Proud Stamps right now, but we hopefully will get this started soon. This is a positive for students. So if they're doing something, we can give them a stamp, and then you can also, and this will be in the back of their agendas, and we'll try to get that set up early next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Next slide.
Here we go. This was just a bit of suggestions for talking about school. I think Mrs. Swanson added this last year, and I really like that. So it's kind of like, instead of saying this, frame it in a different way. If you say things like, what did you do in school today? Sometimes students will say nothing. And I can assure you they did something. And maybe in sixth grade, they're still really sweet and eager to share. I'm seeing that shift as a parent with an eighth grade child, not as much information. But instead of saying, what did you do at school or how was school? You could be more specific by saying something like, tell me something that happened in math today. So maybe reframe the question and make it more specific. Instead of do you have homework, you could ask to see the agenda or ask to see the math packet or show me what grade level you're working on in read theory. Those are more specific questions or statements. And instead of asking, is your homework finished? You could ask to see the notes taken in math class, or tell me about the story you read today in language arts. Just maybe reframing the questions to make them more specific. That might give you more information as a parent.
And I was going to say, Ms. Coulter, as you were talking about that, you can see you're probably going to see more language arts and math homework on a daily basis versus science and social studies. There is a little more sporadic, whereas ours is a little more consistent for the practice, the reading, the writing, the notes you took in math so you can practice the problems that you're doing in class. I am a real stickler. Your notes should look like my notes. So parents, if you're looking in Google Classroom and your kids' notes don't look like my notes, then, and I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but they will, we've talked about losing points for not showing your work. And it is definitely something that we have to get in the habit of as we start middle school. And again, Ms. Coulter had mentioned, we are trying to train them right now because as they move up, it's going to get harder and then the stakes get higher, especially as they move on to high school. So we really do work very hard to help your child get adjusted to sixth grade and middle school. Mm-hmm. And then we know there's a lot of different personalities and things going on here, but we do our very best every day to make sure that they are happy and they are learning. And, we do give some grace, obviously, because we have to. Everybody needs it every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And for language arts, sometimes they get a little bit of time to work on read theory, but they shouldn't assume they'll get it done at school. And then sometimes, like tonight, I wanted students to finish a planning page. They're writing a letter tomorrow. And tonight, the homework was to plan the 3-paragraph letter. And one thing that I would love kids to do at home, if they're not already in the habit, is just to read. And if you have a reluctant reader, it could be 10 minutes at night. Some kids can certainly read for more like 10 or 20 minutes or more. But I think that just being in the habit of reading is such an important thing, because you've got to be able to read to be successful in all the classes, not just ELA.
And so I was also going to mention that right after lunch, we have a time called Teen Time, and we definitely try to take them outside at least 3 days a week because they need to get their wiggles out. We understand that. But we also are trying to encourage that reading 2 of the days during the week. And honestly, by the time we get back upstairs and settled, it may only be 10 to 15 minutes of reading time. So we try to give some variety. And, if it's really, the weather's really bad, one couple of days, and then we'll make up those days the next week. We are not opposed to being outside because we know as well as they do, the fresh air and just being, running around for them is very good for them during the day. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yes, absolutely. And we go to the library every other week in language arts class, but they can also go to the library before school or at the end of lunch. And I have an extensive collection of books. They can borrow my books or magazines. So they have plenty of access to reading material.
Is there another slide? Oh, just our information.
Mm-hmm. Email addresses for teachers are here. We put a link to our team website here. And you can find this if you go to the Salem Middle School homepage. There's a tab that says students and then team websites. And of course, we're the 6-1 Supernovas. At the top, you can find each teacher's subject area, and then we each have a page.
Will you scroll down just a little bit for me?
Sure.
On the whole page. I'm sorry. So
No,
I was
you're
just going to say, these are all things, but the weekly update is what Mr. High sends out a link every Monday to the weekly update. We also, the 6-1 homework is right there in blue. If you want to, that's the one we showed you earlier where we update that for you. So there's lots of good information on there. And of course, I try to update with important dates. And then we put that in that weekly email so you guys can, know what's going on, what's coming up. Like next Thursday's early release, the kids get out at 1 o'clock, those kinds of things. So just the principal's message from Ms. Boshoff will always be there. And again, reach out. I know Ms. Coulter had posted our emails, talking points and email, whichever one works best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We might have a few students on our team who have a different teacher for math or ELA. And if your child has Mrs. Flo or Mrs. Rose for literacy or math essentials, those teachers created a slide, and there's some information that you can access here. And again, that would be if your child has Mrs. Flo or Mrs. Rose for ELA or math. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank
you everyone for attending. We really appreciate your time on a Thursday evening.
Yes.
Thank you. I mean, we can open it up to questions, I guess, if anybody has any real quick.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Sarah, do you want to stop recording? So the question.
Okay, I can stop recording.